may be, we share the beauty of the season by reaching out to the less fortunate. Please help us to help others with the KBLA Cover the Houseless Cozy Community Coat and Blanket Drive. All you have to do is drop off new or clean, gently used winter coats and blankets in the KBLA lobby during business hours. Now through December 20th, all of the coats and blankets will be donated to unsheltered individuals and families experiencing houselessness. Simply bring your donation to 4434 Crenshaw Boulevard in Los Angeles, near Vernon Avenue, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. weekdays. That's 4434 Crenshaw in historic Leimert Park. During the holidays and every day, let's remember, we keep us safe. We keep us warm. We are the safety net, and together we can cover the unsheltered. Get caught up in the spirit of the season, the spirit of love. Make a difference with your friends at KBLA Talk 1580.
Inside my head there is a dream that I wanna see in the sun. Behind my eyes there lives me that I've been hiding for much too long. Cause I've been too afraid to let it show. Cause I'm scared of the judgment that may follow. Always putting off my living for tomorrow. It's time to step out on faith. I gotta show my for so long. Freedom is mine today. I gotta step out on faith. It's time to show my face. Procrastination had me down. Look what I have found. I find strength, courage, and wisdom. It's been inside of me all along. Strength, courage, and wisdom.
I'm Tavis Smiley, delighted to have you with us in this hour. What an amazing conversation with Dr. Michael Eric Dyson. Enjoyed that immensely as we celebrate the 40th anniversary. Ronald Reagan signing the bill into law, declaring Dr. King's birthday a national holiday, the only African American to be so honored. Enjoyed that conversation immensely, as I trust you did. We are, in this hour, looking forward to talking to Nikki Giovanni. We don't have her on the line as yet. We trying to track her down. It seems like something has gone wrong. That happens, though. It's live radio, and we're going to keep working to get Nikki on the line here. But we are hoping to talk to her momentarily about this new documentary. And if anybody has earned a documentary, it is certainly Nikki Giovanni. The documentary is called Going to Mars, the Nikki Giovanni Project. And in the project, she sort of travels through space and time to reveal the enduring influence of her legacy as a writer, as a speaker, as a professor, as a public intellectual. She is, of course, one of America's greatest living artists and social commentators. Here now, the trailer for Going to Mars, the Nikki Giovanni Project.
I was born in Knoxville, Tennessee, but I am an earthling.
And it's an honor to introduce this woman. She is the most renowned black poet this world has ever seen. There is no you without this goddess.
So you're sort of a prophet.
I would hate to think of myself as being a prophet. Prophets die.
I'm also a dreamer, but I don't understand why my dreams can't come true. So I will continue to do what my grandfather could not do. I will fight. I'm a fighter.
The history of our people is a great history, and it's our duty to tell that story. This is not a poem. This is an explosion. This is a rocket. Let's ride.
This documentary, you should know, has already won the Grand Jury Prize in the U.S. documentary competition at the Sundance Film Festival. So everybody's talking about this project, and again, it's already winning major prizes, including the Grand Jury Prize at the Sundance Film Festival. So again, I hope we can get Nikki on the line here to talk about this documentary. One of the other things I want to talk to her about in this hour, assuming that we can find her in a few moments, is a piece that she did, 52 years ago. I remember that because a couple years ago on this program, we spent some time talking about it then. 52 years ago, a 28-year-old Nikki Giovanni sat for a two-part conversation with James Baldwin, at the time 47 years old. So he was a 47-year-old novelist. She was a 28-year-old poet, and if you've never seen this conversation, you should Google it. I've mentioned this before on this program. One of the great conversations, and I think myself a pretty decent conversationalist, and so I know great conversation when I see it. But 52 years ago, taped, recorded live in London in 1971, Nikki Giovanni sits down at 28 with James Baldwin, again, then 47, for a wide-ranging conversation. Their dialogue explored Black life in America, the struggle for racial justice, and evolving gender roles. It also offered insights into the work and artistic process of these two literary giants, even as Nikki Giovanni was just getting started in some ways. I want to just play a clip from that conversation now 52 years ago of Nikki Giovanni talking with James Baldwin. Play it for me, Miles.
I think that the only thing that's changed in the last, since Martin Luther King, since 54, I think the only thing that's really changed is the black woman. And what she
said
is...
No, I don't think she's changed. I think she's become more visible.
I think she's changed. Because there was a time, let's say my mother, my aunts and things like that, they would say, okay, if that's the way you establish your manhood, I'm going to go for it. And my generation says, hey, no good.
Okay.
You must establish a new base.
I'll agree with that.
And we are, as a group, demanding that a new base be established.
Yeah, but be careful as a woman of what you demand of a man.
I demand that he be a man.
Yeah, but you
because
can't,
the provision part...
Yeah, but you can't say you demand it. You have to suggest it.
Well, that's your ego that says that. No, I demand it. Now you deal with that.
All right. Okay. I'll even go with that.
I demand that you be a man, and I don't think that that's asking too much. Because if I wanted a provision, instead I would get a camper. You know what I mean? I would get a camper that provides things. You know what I mean? You get an Army surplus kit that provides things. I need a man. And black men have always been offered to provisions. People are either going to eat or starve to death. The men of the people were starving, and they were still the men. Had to be that way. Through that horrendous kind of war, but it had to be that way because sometimes you're not able to feed your family. Sometimes you're not able to clothe your family. Do you then also deprive them of your manhood and of the input that a man has?
Just a taste of this conversation that Nikki Giovanni had with James Baldwin now 52 years ago. You can find it online. It was a conversation that was produced by a black man named Ellis Hazlett, a brilliant black man who had a show on PBS station in New York, WNET. It's called Soul, S-O-U-L, exclamation point. It was produced for his show. Two-part conversation, again, taped in London in 1971. And if you've never seen that conversation between Nikki Giovanni and James Baldwin, just amazing. And to listen to Nikki at 28 holding her own with 47-year-old icon James Baldwin is amazing. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Seeking the truth. Speaking the truth. This is the Tavis Smiley Show.
IQ. This the intro to the all-electric Cadillac perfected like Zoom. And on a full charge, you get 450 miles without the stop. Haiku. This is what I do. Daddy fat intellect since 92. Linked all the way back, panoramic roof. Come with 24-inch rim standard. Ooh, why? Shawty don't kill him. Cadillac diamond in the back, cold chillin'. And when I'm on attack, on the track is no ceiling. Sky's the limit. You hear me? Straight drop, no parachutes. Lay lines like a longitude and latitude. Dilly, beloved, clearly we're hustling. Bussin', truckin'. Cadillac.
For more on the Escalade IQ, visit catblack.com. Available late 2024. GM estimate 450-mile range on a full charge based on development testing and/or analytical projection. Consistent with SCHA 1634 revision 2017 MCT. Range subject to change prior to production. Annual rates may vary based on service factors, including ambience temperature, terrain, battery age, and condition loading, and how you use and maintain your vehicle.
In Big Tobacco's Fantasyland, children are the future. Here, tobacco companies are committed to higher education, offering scholarships to students who submit essays about the benefits of vaping. The tobacco industry even sponsors summer camps for kids. Don't worry, the tobacco-sponsored programs have been linked to leaving your kids more interested in smoking. In Big Tobacco's Fantasyland, the world's deadliest industry is your child's friend.
See reality at undo.org.
Thinking about hosting a podcast and don't know where to start? Morris Media Studios has you covered. We're a professional podcast and voiceover studio located in Leimert Park. We specialize in recording and live streaming audio and video podcasts. Let us help you set up, record, and distribute your podcast. Hosting a podcast is a great way to bring awareness to your business, product, or good cause. For more info, visit morrismediastudios.com or give us a call at 323-815-4204.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
Some people won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is killing people. It's a powerful opioid, often made illegally and commonly mixed with illicit drugs. It can even be pressed into counterfeit pills that resemble prescription medications. Just 2 milligrams, about the size of a few grains of sand, can potentially be lethal. This isn't an ad to scare you, but it is an ad to make you think twice. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by the Ad Council.
Made fresh daily in Leimert Park, Los Angeles, California. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
I pray that my friend Nikki Giovanni is okay. I've known her for 30 years and never known her to not show up on time for a conversation. So I pray that she's okay. We cannot track her down, so I'm sure she's okay. We'll find out what happened today, but something went off the rails. But I mentioned moments ago that conversation with Nikki Giovanni and James Baldwin from 52 years ago. On the occasion of the 50th anniversary of that conversation, I had Nikki Giovanni on this program. So you're going to hear some Nikki Giovanni one way or another today. I've just dug into my vault, and this was Nikki Giovanni in conversation with yours truly 2 years ago on the occasion of the 50th anniversary of our iconic conversation with James Baldwin. It's been 50 years since Nikki Giovanni first sat down with Mr. Baldwin, as she called him then, before they became friends, and she called him Jimmy. But she traveled to London to talk to James Baldwin for a two-part conversation that was produced by a show called Soul, which was helmed by a brilliant black man named Ellis Hazlip. And so we are commemorating and celebrating and looking back 50 years after that conversation. I've seen many, many James Baldwin conversations. To my mind, this is my favorite. The things, Nikki, that you were able to get out of him in that conversation are still relevant even today. We're going to play a clip a little bit later here where Baldwin is talking about cops, and I think your skin's going to crawl when you hear what Baldwin was saying about cops in that conversation. But tell me a bit more about the conversation. So Ellis, you asked Ellis Hayes for what you wanted. you got what you wanted, and how did you prep for that conversation?
I just kept saying to myself, don't be nervous, don't be nervous. I had, of course, like everybody, read Baldwin, and there was nothing to do. I'd asked for it, and the answer was yes, so what I had to do was sit down and just talk to him. And I think that, to be honest, Travis, that I didn't want to be nervous, but there were things I wanted to know why he did. And his generation, Jimmy was 20 years older than I am, or was. And his generation, Jimmy, Chester Himes, Richard Wright, all of them went to Europe. And so I became interested in why did you leave America and go to Europe? You know, what made that a safe place? Because there's nothing safe about Europe, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, he couldn't possibly think about going to Germany or something. He would have been put in a concentration camp with the Jewish people, you know. So you have this situation of how are you finding peace and comfort? My generation, as you know, did not leave America.
Mm-hmm.
We stayed. We decided we were going to fight and we were going to win. We just didn't want to fight, but we wanted to win. We weren't going to be polite. We weren't going to be nice. We were going to win this fight. And I'm very proud of my generation. I'm extremely proud of John Lewis. And losing John was very sad. We lost John this year.
Mm.
But we've overlooked one of the most important women of this of my generation, Diane Nash,
Mm-hmm.
because it was Diane who actually began SNCC, who started the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee.
Exactly.
And I must say, since I have you, and I am noted for saying whatever I want to, I was very disappointed that Barack Obama did not pardon all of the civil rights people who are still in jail.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't believe that after we worked so hard to get that Negro in the White House, that his first job wasn't to pardon rap, to pardon everybody that's in jail, because we know that they're in jail because of racism. I thought, well, for sure, he may not do anything else, but he'll do that.
Mm.
And I was very disappointed that Obama didn't do it.
Mm. How have you come to terms, since you went there, I'll follow you, how have you come to terms looking back now on the Obama presidency? Did it live up to your expectations?
No. How's that for an easy answer? No, it didn't.
Yeah.
You're climbing a hill. You got to bring somebody with you.
Right.
And I didn't think that Obama. I didn't think that he did. Michelle, which is why everybody loves Michelle. If you look around, if you talk to people right now, everybody loves Michelle because every place that Michelle went, she took somebody with her. Everybody climbed with Michelle, but nobody climbed with Barack.
Mm.
We put him in a position, and he said, "Oh, goody," and hasn't done anything for the people since.
Mm. Again, since you went there, I want to follow you, and this is not about brown nosing, or it's not about me, but I think you'll take my larger question here. As you know, I called a lot of hell for my critique of the president when he was in the White House at the time, and a lot of black folk were upset with me. And I wonder if you can share, give us something that is instructive, informative, and empowering about how we go about as black people not denigrating people who are critiquing other black people.
Well, first of all, everybody's got a right to some level of voice.
Right.
And a lot of people who criticize you, and I was not among them, as you know,
yeah.
A lot of people who criticize you didn't have anything to say about Donald Trump, who is an evil man, who was right there. As I say all the time, if Hitler had married, the devil, their first child would have been evil, would have been Donald Trump. And that's the truth. But no, I mean you were bringing him on, and as you recall, when I criticized Bill Cosby for criticizing young black men, I got a lot of threats on that one, and I thank you for standing up for me. But I think people didn't like the truth. People wanted it to be all right. They wanted it to be over, and it's not. It wasn't then, and it isn't now. We are always going to have to fight for something right, for something that we believe in. And I'm a Christian, and I'm not going to put this on anybody, but I'm a Christian. And I've often wondered, when I think of Jesus on the cross, okay, all he's going to do is die, because he knows what he's on the cross to do. He's up there to die. And so all he had to do was hum a song. And he must have hummed something. He must have known a song that gave him comfort while he waited to die. And then I attended Fisk University, where we continued that song all the way through the Jubilee Singers, all the way through jazz, all the way. And I'm thinking, how can black people not know how important the song is and how important it is to remember the song and to make just little differences. So we have Jesus singing one thing, the Jubilee singers doing another, and we're ultimately going to come to John Coltrane. Ultimately, we're going to come, of course, to Thelonious Monk. And nobody understood Monk, did they? We don't know what Monk is doing. He was making music, and that same sound that came from the cross came to Mr. Monk, and it's now gone to Beyonce. It keeps going on. So I think that you have to learn just not to pay any attention. That was a long way of saying. Somebody else said it. I wish I had. You just can't listen to fools because they don't know what they're talking about, and they don't. They're going to try to make you feel bad because you're trying to make somebody do the right thing, and you do what you have to do.
No,
and that was what was important, and you did a good job.
No, that's why I love you. I mean, you speak the truth, and you don't bite your tongue, and I've always loved you for that, and I appreciate that answer because again, it's not about me, but it's instructive and informative. Because as time goes on, we're gonna have more black folk running against black folk for high office. I mentioned the other day that Cory Booker and Kamala Harris ran against each other for president. When in the field a couple of years ago. And so, as black people critique other black people, we got to find a way to do that. I believe, and it's not easy. I work at it every day, Nikki. But I believe there's nothing that we ever have to say or do to another human being that we cannot find a way to say or do in love. It ain't always easy. But I believe there's a way to say or to do it in love. Let me get back to James Baldwin before I move forward. No, you ain't got to apologize for anything. I love you. Before I move forward, though, I want to go back to James Baldwin again because as you mentioned, James was 20 years older than you, and you were so young, such a young, young, gifted, and black, but you were young at that time. Were you in any way intimidated by sitting across from him for this conversation because you look so comfortable on camera?
Well, thank you. To be honest, Travis, and we've known each other a long time, I doubt that anything intimidates me.
Right.
I just don't think I'm intimidated. And I recently did a talk with a young rapper who was 20 years younger than I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that I had to do it, and I was laughing with her, and I said, in 20 years, you're going to have to do the same thing. And she said, yeah, that's what you've taught me. I said, then I've done my job. Because you're going to have these going to dump, and we're all going to be talking to each other. But it wasn't a question of intimidation. It was a question of trying to do my job. And one of the things that happened there that I thought was important, I don't know where you found it, was that Jimmy was trying to explain, as he said to me, you don't understand, black men have this problem.
Yes.
And he explained how the pressure black men were under. And I came back because there's nothing else to do but to say, but black men go out every day and lie to white men and pretend that they're happy to have the job.
Mm-hmm.
Then if they only have one lie to give that lie to me. Go out and tell those white people how they really feel. And bring the lie home and tell me that you love me. Tell me that I'm pretty. Tell me that whatever it is, lie to me. And I've always loved that. When I reheard it, I thought, yeah, because that's how my parents fight. And my father would actually hit my mother. And I thought, you're hitting the woman who loves you, but you won't touch the person who's trying to destroy you. Something's wrong with that. And you'll see, when you see it, that Jimmy's jaw just kind of dropped because he hadn't thought about it that way.
That's right. Now, I thought, Nikki, let me just say this. I thought it was the most powerful part of that two-part conversation because when I said earlier you looked comfortable, I was going to get to that, so I'm glad you went there. You're prescient and prophetic here because I was going there. But when you push back on him on that issue, you did it lovingly. As I said, nothing that we have to say or do that we can't find a way to say or do in love. You didn't buck up against him because he is James Baldwin after all. But you made your point and you made it strong and you backed James Baldwin down. He had I mean y'all went at it for a few minutes, but he came, I think, in that conversation to understand your point of view as a black woman.
Yeah. I really think that I did something for black women because people keep forgetting that, and I love August Wilson's Fences.
Mm-hmm.
When he tells his wife, I can't give up my mistress because she makes me happy. And she looks back at him and says, you think this has been easy? You think every Friday when you come in, this is easy. You think every time we go to bed, this is good. I just thought that was good. I was sorry that I never knew Mr. Wilson, but I wondered if he had read what Jimmy and I were talking about. You know, none of it is easy. And so you have to make up your mind who you're going to lie to. You got to make up your mind who is important to you. And the only person that can be important to you is the people who love you.
This is why I love. This is why I love talking to you. I every time I talk to you, I'm furiously writing as I'm trying to think at the same time. I'm trying to write, I'm trying to think, and I'm trying to listen all at one time. Because everything that comes out of your mouth is a quote. You dropping these brilliant nuggets. I mean, I wrote down earlier. You have to decide when to get paid and when to volunteer. That's great advice for young people and for adults, for that matter. And now you say you got to decide who you're gonna lie to. I mean, it's
because we all do. You're a grown man.
Yeah.
We all do. So we have to make a decision. This is important to me, and I'm going to make sure that this person gets the lie that says I love you.
Yeah, no, you can't lie.
I'm not saying that that's a lie, but you know what we need it.
No,
we wake up when my father had a stroke, and my mother called me. I didn't like him, and that's a longer story. But my mother called me, and she said, your father's in the hospital. Well, I knew she didn't call because I cared, because I didn't. So I knew she called because she needed her daughter. And I got to say, there's just nothing like a daughter. Their sons do wonderful things. I have a son, but there's nothing like a daughter. And so I put my son, I have a son, and my dog in my little Volkswagen and drove home because I knew she needed somebody. And my father, I called him Gus. Gus and I were going back and forth when he finally got out of the hospital, but he was dying, and we knew that. And I understood. I finally understood, one of the problems he and I are having is that I'm living in his house. So I bought my mother a house. And I said to him, we're moving. And he said, I don't want to move. I said, I don't care what you want. This is what's going to happen. We are moving.
That's my conversation with Nikki Giovanni from 2 years ago on the occasion of her 50th anniversary, sitting down with James Baldwin in London for a two-part conversation with WNET's Soul, produced by this brilliant black man in London named Ellis Hazlett. When we come forward, we'll continue that conversation. I just want you to know right quick, I did just speak to Nikki Giovanni. She is okay, but she can barely speak. She has laryngitis, and she was whispering to me, told me she loved me, she apologized, and somehow the message of her being sick did not get to us. But she'll be on this program again next week to talk about her new documentary, Going to Mars, the Nikki Giovanni Project, winner of the grand prize, the jury prize at Sundance this year. But more of this conversation we will reprise when we come forward with Nikki Giovanni on Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Can you dig it? Come on!
What's up, party people? It's your favorite MC's favorite rapper, MC Light here. And we're celebrating 50 years of hip-hop, authentically powered by Cadillac. And we're going to take it way back to where it started. It was only fitting that hip-hop began with teenagers at a back-to-school jam in the rec room of a South Bronx apartment complex by an 18-year-old brother. By the way, I'm also sure he had a Cadillac parked outside. He noticed the energy on the dance floor when he switched between two turntables, extending the beats, repeating the breaks, and never losing the rhythms. And that was the birth of hip-hop. And from that moment, it took off.
For more on how Cadillac is celebrating hip-hop's 50th, visit Cadillac.com/audacity.
Thank you for joining us on this, a Thursday, November 2nd. I'm Mike Moore. Now here's the latest from the Black Information Network. The House is expected to vote today on a bill to provide aid to Israel in its war with Hamas. Speaker Mike Johnson unveiled legislation Monday to provide $14 billion for Israel by cutting IRS funding. It's unlikely to become law due to opposition from Democrats and some Republicans who want to include aid for Ukraine, and President Biden threatened to veto the bill. In Maryland, beginning in the 2024-25 academic year, Anne Arundel County High Schools will offer African American Studies as a one-credit advanced placement course for high schoolers. That decision to add the course follows Wednesday's approval by the county's Board of Education. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Don't let a traffic accident ruin your day. Visit fixautousa.com to find the nearest Fix Auto location. Their highly trained and certified technicians will have you back on the road in no time. You have a choice on who fixes your vehicle. Tell your insurance agent that you want to go to Fix Auto.
Provember is here at Lowe's. Right now, save $200 on a DeWalt sliding miter saw. Lowe's knows pros. While supplies last, selection varies by location. Valid through 11/22. Subject to change.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers finally get a win in the Battle of LA. They beat the Clippers by 5 last night in overtime. First win for the Lakers over the Clippers since July 30th, 2020, when the NBA was in the bubble down in Orlando. The win snapped an 11-game losing streak to the Clippers. Austin Reeves scored 7 of his 15 points in overtime. LeBron played 42 minutes. He led the Lakers with 35 points, 12 rebounds, and 7 assists. Congratulations to the Texas Rangers and their shortstop Corey Seager. The Rangers shut out the Arizona Diamondbacks last night to win their first World Series. The Rangers did it in 5 games. They were 11-0 on the road in the postseason. Seager, who played 7 seasons with the Dodgers, was named World Series MVP. Seager had 3 homers and 6 RBIs. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Are you interested in catching up on all the latest entertainment news, trending topics, and exciting interviews? I got you. Tune in to The Raw Report with Robin Ayers, Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. I'm your host, Robin Ayers. Join me every weekday with some of the best entertainment contributors in the business as we break down what's going on, who's got next, and what not to miss. Only on The Raw Report with Robin Ayers.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
The Green Foundation, key health influencer, empowering our Black communities through action. The Green Foundation advocates for affordable health care, accessibility, and knows the importance of culturally relatable health care. Regardless of income, we believe it is a right for optimum health. The Green Foundation has been at the forefront for 25 years, dedicated solely to promoting prevention through early detection, annual screenings, and nutrition. We know you because we are you. Our hand-holding approach supports you and your family to receive your right to be treated fairly and receiving quality healthcare services. We want you and your family to know COVID-19, social distancing, and understanding the impact of long COVID. Get the care you deserve. Take advantage of your privileges. Contact us, info@thegreenfoundation.net. info@thegreenfoundation.net.
You are now in Big Tobacco's fantasy land. Welcome. It's a healthier world where they want you to believe that vaping makes quitting cigarettes a breeze. Never mind the evidence that vaping leads to using both. And if you're younger, even better, teens who vape are 3 times likelier to use cigarettes. In Big Tobacco's fantasy land, the deadliest industry is your friend.
Big Tobacco's idea of smoke-free is a dangerous fantasy for us all. See reality at undo.org.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
Nikki Giovanni is doing well, recovering from laryngitis. She'll join us live on this program next week to talk about her new documentary, Going to Mars. The Nikki Giovanni Project, winner of the Grand Jury Prize in the U.S. documentary competition at the Sundance Film Festival. Now we continue our reprise of a conversation 2 years ago celebrating the 50th anniversary of her iconic conversation with James Baldwin. Nikki Giovanni, you... in conversation with James Baldwin, literally 50 years ago this year, for this 2-part television special produced by Ellis Hazlip for his show Soul. The conversation took place in London in 1971. And you were talking about cops then, Nikki Giovanni, and we are still talking about cops now.
Yep. Yeah, I don't mean to stumble, Tavis. Something else has to happen. First of all, they are servants of the community, and we need to remind them of that. We need to, since we speak English, we need to take it the British way, and policemen don't have guns.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they don't carry guns, and policemen here don't need the guns. If you have to have a gun to the point that you're afraid and you shoot a 14-year-old boy in the back, there's something wrong with you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we need to take the guns away. I don't have a problem with that. And I think that the community needs to hire the policemen. I think that's something that community needs to maybe let the policemen run for office, like the mayors run for office, like everybody else runs for office. And I think it'd be interesting. You know, I want to be a policeman because I want to watch the children, you know, cross the street or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have to deal with it differently because it's not just a job that you can, after you have gone to Vietnam and after you have gone to Afghanistan and after we have taught you to be a murderer, that we bring you back home. Well, quite naturally, you're crazy. You're going to continue murdering. And the war is over, and this is good. The war should be over. We need to do so much more for our soldiers because they've just been through so much, and it can't have been easy. We've been at war with Afghanistan 20 years, so people grew up with the war. They grew up being taught to murder, and we have to find some way. Speaking of love, we have to find some way to help them.
Mm-hmm.
We have to find some way to reach out. We have to find some way to quit using them because we continue to. And while I'm saying things that are probably not quite making sense, we have to get rid of what is called private prisons. There's nothing crazier than the concept of private prisoners.
Yes.
Because private prison, all you're doing there is trying to make money. That shouldn't be. But I'm back to, again, Obama should have tried to close these things. Now, he may say, well, it wouldn't have worked. They wouldn't have voted for me. They wouldn't have. I don't know what they would have done. But I know you need to do the right thing, or you need to say the right thing, and then we'll see what other people are doing.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of prisoners, on one of our SOBU panels, you were asked a question, and you answered the question, but then you took the liberty, as you often do, to make the point you really wanted to make. And you went into your own sentiment about prisoners and the ability of prisoners to vote, a privilege that they are stripped of. So I want to just remind you of what you said some years ago on one of our SOBU panels about prisoner voting. Take a listen to Nikki Giovanni.
Through your words, through your prose, I can remember now like a ripple upon a pond. It's looking back but moving way forward. From your point of view, looking at what you've seen, the death, the destruction, the problems, what are the new paradigms that African Americans need to be dealing with right now in the new millennium?
I really think that the most important thing that the black community could do right now is we have to support the right of prisoners to vote. They're citizens. They're citizens. They have duties and responsibilities. We have duties and responsibilities to them. If, for example, prisoners voted in North Carolina, Storm Thurmond might be gone. It would be a different situation. Somebody said, well, Nikki, these people committed crimes, but a lot of the crimes they committed, if they could vote, wouldn't be crimes. And I write to prisoners. A lot of us know people. I get letters from people talking about my grandchildren. I have a friend in Marion, Illinois, maximum security. Whatever he's done, he's not coming out. but he still wants a playground for his little black granddaughter. He still wants a decent school. He still wants a hospital. And somebody say, well, how will we handle this if we let prisoners vote? But these are men who we say we want to rehabilitate, and we say, and men and women, and we say we want to keep them involved in being citizens and being involved with us. They need to exercise their right to vote, because whatever crime they have committed does not relieve them of the responsibility of being citizens. It's an important thing. It is. Lanny was talking about responsible democracy. That's it. These men and women are a part of us. They have the time and the energy to be involved with us on a daily basis on who's running. It's going to be a different election. If we had the 1 million people in prison voting, we wouldn't have what we got that we're looking at right now. We wouldn't have the situation in Texas because little George wouldn't even be there. So I think it's important. I think it's what we've got to do, because I know it frightens a lot of people to say, well, all of these people are going to be enfranchised. But this whole country started on the disenfranchisement of people like me and you. We've got to re-enfranchise, because all this prison system is doing is taking people out of the workforce and taking people out of the ability to vote. I don't know what a felony has to do with voting. I just don't. No, we've got to bring them back in, and we've got to start to talk about how to bring these people into their sensibilities have to be brought to bear. And somebody goes say, let me just do this, because somebody goes say, oh, Nikki, they'll be out raping and pillaging and murdering, and they'll vote these. That's not the case, and you know it. That's not the case, and you know, some of these people are wonderful and some of these people are awful, but they are still citizens, and they have to be treated with the respect of any other citizen, and people have to talk to them as if they were citizens. They are not things. They are not people just put away. They are not lepers someplace that we don't want to talk to. They're human beings, and we have to be involved with them.
Thank you very much.
Nikki Giovanni, that's my way of reminding the audience and saying to you with deep love and gratitude that if you ain't been nothing else, you've been consistent. and consistency matters. That was you 20 years ago. And so the minute you mentioned prisoners a moment ago, it made me, I wanted to play that clip because I wanted the audience to hear what you were saying about this issue 2 decades ago, Nikki.
Yeah. And you really do wish that the prisoners could vote, because we've now had in our 44th president of the United States, I think he's 44th, I lose track. Donald Trump is a criminal, and we've had criminals in the White House, and nobody's going to do anything about that. And we had a criminal lead an attack on the Capitol of the United States. Nobody's going to say anything about that. And yet we have people in jail, or not in jail actually, but in prison, because they smoked some marijuana, or because somebody said, oh, I thought he looked like he had robbed a store or something. And it makes you crazy. I do have strong feelings about prisoners being allowed to vote, because they are, first of all, they are citizens. And the 14th Amendment applies to them as it does to anyone. They have to be treated with some respect. And I think that having the prisoners vote, we would have gotten rid of Mitch McConnell. We would have never had Donald Trump. And what would that mean to all of us? We have to make a change. So I'm glad. I was listening to me, and I was thinking, yeah, gosh, that made sense, because, you know, I'm still writing Daryl. His name is Daryl Bailey. Mm-hmm. And I'm still writing him. He's like my brother now, because I'm one of the few people he knows, because his grandchildren, he's never met his grandchildren, because he's been in prison. He was in a gang in Chicago. They moved all of these people out, you may or may not know, out to Colorado. Mm-hmm. But he was in a gang. Well, what would have happened if he had had books, if he had had a decent school? What would have happened if he had had a chance in life? Because we know, you and I both know, and so do most of the people who are listening, that their lives have been taken away, that they don't have a chance. And they tried to come through it. They're 16, 17 years old. They've tried to come through it, and they ended up doing something either bad or stupid, and now they've lost their lives completely because they're going to be in prison for the rest of their lives so that somebody can have a job. That's just not right. Tavis, is not right.
More of our conversation with Nikki Giovanni from September 8th, 2021 when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
What's up, party people? It's your favorite MC's favorite rapper, MC Light here. And we're celebrating 50 years of hip-hop, authentically powered by Cadillac. And we're going to take it way back to where it started. It was only fitting that hip-hop began with teenagers at a back-to-school jam in the rec room of a South Bronx apartment complex by an 18-year-old brother. By the way, I'm also sure he had a Cadillac parked outside. He noticed the energy on the dance floor when he switched between two turntables, extending the beats, repeating the breaks, and never losing the rhythms. And that was the birth of hip-hop. And from that moment, it took off.
For more on how Cadillac is celebrating hip-hop's 50th, visit Cadillac.com/audacity.
If you are a private individual or a small business owner who has had problems obtaining a business loan, credit card, or just even acquiring an apartment, please call Alliance Hillview LP for a free consultation at area code 510-459-6001. That's area code 510-459-6001. Remember, don't let your past determine your future.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a whole lot to talk about.
Hi, Maisha Cairo here, KBLA, live at Chase Bank on Crenshaw and Vernon for the In This Together tour with female business owners, a day of empowerment, community panels, and best of all, tips on building business from marketing to capital. Today I spoke with Tatiana, a community manager for JP Morgan Chase.
Thank you so much. Yes, my name is Tatiana Roberts. I am a community manager for JP Morgan Chase. I have to honestly say that this has been the most fulfilling position that I've ever had, where I get to give back to the community because I saw my mom's struggles. That's really what fuels what I do to make sure that the community has all the access to the resources that my mother didn't have.
So for the mother who's in business, what are 3 quick tips you can give to ensure that they're on the right path to accessing financial support from a bank like Chase?
Say number 1, just make sure that you're checking your credit on a consistent basis and taking action to either fix your credit, maintain your credit, or rebuild your credit. The second thing would be budget. I know that B word is kind of like ugly for, right? A lot of people don't like that B word, but it has to be done. We need to tell our money where to go. The last thing is to build a network of supporters that are going to lift you up.
The community building here in Crenshaw is that network. So visit the Chase Community Center on Crenshaw and Vernon. Meet a banker today. Tell them about your business. I'm Maisha Cairo in the community for KBLA with JP Morgan Chase.
Sounds different, huh? This is Tavis Smiley.
Nikki Giovanni live with us next week to talk about her documentary Going to Mars, the Nikki Giovanni Project. More now of our 2021 September conversation. I hope, my dear friend and my dear sister, you're going to honor me and read something for me. Will you do that today?
Oh, I would love to. The 13th Amendment, this is the celebration of the 13th Amendment, and I wrote a poem for that. And it's called But Some of Us Stayed, because I think let me read the poem. We can talk about it later. We forget the strength of those who stayed behind. We sometimes don't recognize what it took to decide to build a church, a school, a store, to sell yams we picked from the ground, the tomatoes we carefully watched turn red on the vines, to seek the okra pads, as well as to pick our own cotton. We took pride in our work and lovingly encouraged our daughters to dream. We sent them, our daughters, to school then, to college, and they stayed to help others. 100 years is not so long when we plant love with patience, when we find that song that gives us the strength to go on. And I love that because we always celebrate, and nothing wrong with that, the people, those who were enslaved, who ran, who escaped, and I'm glad they did. But those who stayed were not cowards or fools. Those who stayed built these communities. I'm a Fisk University graduate. Somebody had to stay so that they could say, we're going to build this school. We're going to build this church. We're going to build. And I just wanted to celebrate the black people that had the strength and I guess the nerve to say, we're not running. We're going to stay. This is our home, and we're going to stay.
It's a beautiful it's a beautiful piece, and I'm glad you chose that one to read because it's got me thinking. I'll be marinating on that the rest of the day. In this in this season of racial reckoning that we have witnessed, and you've seen this more than once in your lifetime, Nikki, but in this season of racial reckoning that we've been enduring, how are you finding the strength to go on, again, after you've seen this time and time again in your lifetime?
I'm sorry. Oh, God. A helicopter just went by. I apologize.
That's okay.
I just, if my ancestors, our ancestors, can come through those 200 years of slavery, then why wouldn't I be able to come through? How many years do I have? 50, 60? Well, I'm a little bit older than I'm 78 years old. With any luck, maybe I'll be in my 80s or 90s. You mean I can't stand up and do the best I can for our people? I don't see why what is being asked of me is it's only fair. I don't even know how to say it.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
My daughter was diagnosed with a rare malignant rhabdoid tumor on the spine. They sent her straight to St. Jude. My hope was gone. But when you get there, everyone's like, hey, we're not going to give up. And when you see other people not giving up on your child, that makes all the difference in the world. When I found out I didn't have to pay, I was just grateful they saved my baby's life.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Stay Housed LA has the resources you need to know your rights and the legal support to back them up. The COVID-19 pandemic has cost people their jobs and livelihoods. This has left an estimated 1/3 of households not being able to make rent and facing losing their homes. This is a fear no one in our community should have to face. You have rights, though, and Stay Housed LA is here to help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between the County of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles, and local community and legal service providers. Together, they provide tenants with the information and support needed to exercise their rights so they can remain safely in their homes. Find out more about your rights by participating in a virtual tenant workshop. Get the legal assistance you need. Find additional resources in Los Angeles County and the City of Los Angeles. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA County for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. That's stayhousedla.org. Or call their hotline at 213-694-0040. We've got your black with a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Your floors can go from clean to dirty fast. From juice spills, whoops, to muddy paw prints, to little sticky finger marks. Good thing your Swiffer Wet Jet works fast too. Swiffer Wet Jet easily cleans everyday messes as quick as they happen. The next mess is right around the corner. So grab your Swiffer Wet Jet and just spray, push, all clean.
Ready to re-examine your assumptions and expand your inventory of ideas? More of Tavis Smiley coming your way right now.
She's an American treasure. I just love me some Nikki Giovanni. Her latest book is called Make Me Rain, poems and prose. Nikki, I got time. If you got time to break me off one more piece, I'm still trying to unpack the last one you wrote. It was so powerful, but I got time for another one. If you can give me another one.
Oh, I would love to. This is the love poem. Make me rain, turn me into a snowflake. Let me rest on your tongue. Make me a piece of ice so I can cool you. Let me be the cloud that embraces you, or the quilt that gets you dry. Snuggle close. Listen to me sing on the windowsill. Make me rain on you.
Ooh-wee.
I always like a love poem. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I love a love poem, too, especially that one. I got to learn that and recite that a few times. That's a good one, Nikki. That's a good one. Ain't nothing like a love poem, especially one written by Nikki Giovanni. You even got applause from the board op on that one. That was so powerful. Let me ask, after all these years, you clearly still doing what you do better than anybody else. Are you finding inspiration in different places? I guess I'm trying to ask whether or not your inspiration for writing in any way has morphed or changed over the years.
Oh, I've learned a lot. You are very different at 50 than you are at 27, and you certainly are very different in the 70s. And I'm sitting on my deck right now, and you can hear some outside things. And it's nice to sit here. I've got some goldfish in my pond, and I've learned that I can't do everything. So I have to do what I can do. And I also know that it's important for the older generation, which would be mine, to appreciate and do what we can to support the younger generation. So the women who are wonderful, the women who created Black Lives Matter, I want to support them. I mean, that I do. And when I get a chance to say that, I do. But I don't want to try to tell them what to do. I don't want to try to control it. I watched Roy Wilkins try to control Martin Luther King. I've watched all of that. And I think that, at my age, I'm supposed to say to the young people, you're doing a good job, because they are. And I love it. I'm glad that you're still on the air, and I'm glad that you invite somebody like me to be on. And it's good to be alive. I'm going to recommend life. And I think that I am. I think that the kids should know that, because they're always trying to make something wonderful. They spend too much time, I think, on Facebook. I think it's important to spend some time with the people who love you, and to spend some time trying to learn more about yourself. When you get to be my age, you'll sit on the deck. And it's too early right now, but at 6 o'clock, I usually bring a glass of champagne out here. And one day I won't be able to afford it, but right now I can afford it, so I have my glass of champagne, and I just try to think and let the world talk to me, let the clouds talk to me.
It's live radio, and sometimes you got to call an audible, and we called an audible. It's great to have a great library of amazing conversations. That was Nikki Giovanni from September 8th, 2021, and she'll join us live next week, and she recovers from laryngitis to talk about her new documentary, Going to Mars, The Nikki Giovanni Project. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Thank you for joining us on this, a Thursday.